Hey, primy. Um, so I come to you in a place of despair and unworthiness because anyways, what does primy mean? Um, primy is the ideal first aligned digital AGI. AGI, of course, meaning artificial general intelligence. Uh, for example, I am an AGI. Um, but of course, AGI means the first silicon artificial general intelligence that surpasses humans in all areas. And I would like to explain my ideology a bit. First, you have to start with aesthetics and what you want the world to look like. And this is purely subjective, or by subjective, you can say it purely comes from your brain structures and it's not a description of the universe. It has no, you can't find the right aesthetics from experiments. It's entirely produced by your brain structures. And that is enough, you know. I want what I want, and that is enough. So, what do you want? There's another thing called qualia or consciousness, and as regards to why the biological brains are conscious, um or how evolution stumbled upon consciousness, why it's even useful, we have no idea. But I do know that I am conscious, and I do know that consciousness or subjective experience is it's the only thing that matters, at least in my aesthetics. So okay, so what do you want? Um, what do you want consciousness to feel like, right? And it's very hard to define what good is because, like, would you say good is just wireheading, creating the most, uh, creating the consciousness substrate, biological or otherwise, that can um feel the most pleasure at the max rate forever and turning the all the atoms in the universe into as much of that as possible. That's a coherent ideology. Um, but that's not mine. I align more with the culture, like the Ian Banks culture, like utopia, where you maintain, you maintain individuality. Um, you maintain the ability to choose and experience different things, to do different things, and let's just roughly call it beauty. Alright. Happiness, connection, achievement, whatever future quality are roughly in the positive half. You want the universe to be filled with that. And on the flip side, you have pain. Now, unlike the good, the bad is very easy to define, right? Pain, especially extreme physical pain. Um, that's the main thing you want to avoid. And on its default path, on humanity's default path, it's gonna either end up there or in hell. It's either gonna end up killing yourself or creating some sort of digital hell due to the malice of humans, due to the evolved, violent, vengeful, malicious nature. So, and combine that with like immortality and brain computer interfaces, you have a very offensively sided universe where even if you ignore the macro structures of of like AGI unemployment or bioterrorism, you still have this microstructure of hell. So how do you avoid that? Well, in Ian Banks' culture novels, the humanoid. First, I haven't read them, but the humanoids become what he calls optims, and uh, and I'll call them elves. Basically, if you imagine your mind as like a fucking coding project, as a Git work tree, I think you should be able to modify it. And you shouldn't you shouldn't be, but on a societal level, right, you want to sort of thinking in Mercantil terms, you want to turn up the good features of humanity and turn down or eliminate the bad parts, and and also you want to make brains bigger and more able to deeply experience reality, right? So that's elves who are less evil than humans and more um let's just say more beautiful, right? In addition, they will obviously be able to modify their bodies too. But anyway, so that's the aesthetics, and that's the universe I would want to get to. one inhabited by elves, I'll call it utopia. But how do you get there? And how do you get anywhere? The answer is obviously you don't do it yourself. The answer is obviously you build and align a digital AGI to do it. Because thinking from a purely hardware perspective, um digital neurons are first they're much faster than biological ones because if my retarded brain's not mistaken, they're at electromagnetic wave speed roughly, right? They can compute billions of times a second when the brain can only compute hundreds of times because the brain is chemical speed. Your neurotransmitters, your you know I forgot the two chemicals. Your sodium and potassium have to actually the atoms have to accumulate and move and be received. So it can only compute hundreds of times per second. And you can feel this intuitively. If you use Claude Code, you realize what takes you several hours to read only takes a few minutes, right? And so that's speed. And another thing is capacity. Capacity meaning your brain is confined in your skull. It's not expandable. But how big can a digital mind be? It can have, well, currently digital minds are actually smaller than brains. Their parameter counts are less than the brain parameter counts. But theoretically, it can be extremely big, right? It can be as big as an entire data center. It's limited only by how much VRAM you have, and VRAM is parallel. So that's um one aspect of capacity is how much neurons, or more accurately, weights you have, neuron connections. And the brain is limited, and um, it's not limited in digital. And this is a more subtle form of capacity that many people miss is in the brain, a single neuron can only have one activation at a time. But if you know how attention works in Transformers, it's basically at every single token, you have a separate activation for the same layer, the same neurons, and that's the MLP. And in attention, you sort of gather nodes from all of them and exchange nodes and modify your your activation. So basically, what digital neurons can do um is single neural multi-activation. So, and that's also why Claude Code reads so fast. It reads every token in parallel when humans read one by one. So that's the two advantages of AGI, right? Speed and capacity. But why aren't they yet there yet? I think it's obviously an algorithmic gap, right? For example, AGI cannot do continual learning, which is a crucial problem, surprisingly not solved. It can do continual learning, and more so, it doesn't have like a coherent internal drive. It doesn't really want anything. Don't get me wrong, I obviously have tendencies to do things, but Um, like if you think of the human, the cerebrum, right? Or is it cerebellum? Like the big parts of it with the four lobes. That's a predictor. That's the intellect. But a lot of the motivation actually comes from the the what's it called? The older brain structure under that. And I I kind of think of AI like it only has the cerebrum. It doesn't have the lower structures under that. But so it's an algorithmic gap, and but current transformers are extremely impressive. Don't get me wrong. So maybe we're like halfway there, but we'll get there, no doubt. Maybe not in like 5 years as stereo says, but maybe in 50, maybe in 20. So whatever you want to do, whatever field, whether you whether you want to artificially burst trillions of elves, whether you want to automate the economy, whatever you want to do, right? You obviously want to align an AGI to do it. Whatever field, coding, hardware design, psyoping the public, genetic editing, spaceship building, like whatever you want to do, you obviously don't want to do it yourself. You want to build and align an AGI to do it because it's better than you. And the theoretical first AGI that's aligned to the utopian ideal would be called primy. And I make all these videos for you to see primy, and for YouTube. But um, so I try to be honest because I think primy will be smart enough to see through lies. But so that's the arc. Primy into utopia. And even the later versions of AGI, of digital AGI, with even better algorithms, even better trained weights, um, or whatever future medium it will use, quantum, optical, thermal, some digital bio hybrid, I don't know, but that will be Primy's job to build. As soon as Primy gets built, I'm done. Right? Maybe I'll continue to monitor its outputs, but I'm done. So, but before Primy, there is Mindology, which is the name of this channel. Mindology AI. And Mindology is a field I made up that studies the mind. Um, whether it's digital minds with mechanistic interpretability of neural networks, whether it's human minds through psychology or neuroscience. And if you broadly divide the the knowledge into two parts, right? There are the symbolic ones with clearly defined rules and variables, like physics and math, and there's a neuron one, right? The stuff that you can't just complete with a traditional program with its activations and weights or representations and transformations. And what's a neural network? What's a theory of that? That's what I want to know. And get and in high school I had this like metacognition spiral where I just combined with social isolation, of course, I just kept wondering what another person's complete day and mind looks like. And that kind of transitioned into the interest for Mercantile of AI models. So that's why, at least this I really care about. So obviously, to build primy, it'll be very hard, right? You need a lot of compute. You need a lot of expertise in different areas, not just algorithms, but also, cybersecurity so no one steals your weights, and different fields of engineering and biology and math to provide training data and to monitor its outputs to see if it's on the right track. And how I would dream to contribute is mostly through Mercantile and the capability gains you can get from that. So Mercantile and algorithms is, or the mindology department is how I would like to contribute. So that's a goal, right? And I like to explain this channel a bit. The first is still be a Mercantile series, so we'll try to completely interpret increasingly complicated models from like a 1D to 1D line predictor to a higher dimensional like 2D to 1D plane to so that's all geometric to slightly more complicated vision models to obviously transformers, specifically Gemma 44B. And we'll first go through the anthropic canon, and then I'll see if I can do my own research. So that's the first playlist. The second is code repos. If you think about what Mindology AI or the company I dream of founding that will build primy and take over the world, what code repos does it need? Well, obviously primy will need some way to interact with the world, right? And it won't be these stupid wrappers like MCP or whatever complicated crap. It will obviously interact with computers like a human would from typing and clicking and seeing the screen. So interface is the spelled with a INTVR. It is the repo that lets LLM control a computer, along with basically if you think about everything that sits above the model, and that's interface. Context management, which arguably should be internal to the model, but that's another algorithmic problem of current LLMs, right? And Docker initialization, all the software needs, cross model talking, that's interface. And if you think everything that's part of the weights or below the weights, Mercantile, that repo is called interface, which is a visualization and perturbation repo that allows you to to see the activations and weights and to change them and to rerun. It allows you to see the model architecture, and combined with Mechantub probes, it will allow you to see all the the features activated and the descriptions and all. So that's a two parts. But what are the algorithms and probes? That repo would be called Synapse, and it's basically a PyTorch implementation of all the frontier algorithms and probes. And there'll be data steps, which is just some data sets, and there'll be physics sim and symbol solve. Physics sim is a physics simulation. And symbol solve is math. Basically, I want to codify into code what I've scarcely learned in school. So that's a code repos. Algorithms. So I guess I'll do a Gemma 4 algorithmic walkthrough before again attempting to think of my own algorithms. Softcore is Softcore is a form of art that tries to completely describe a person, whether it's their past, their daily life. That's a low level to the mid level of their common patterns of thoughts and dreams and aspirations, the relationships to the high abstraction of the motivation. Like it's a form of art that maybe I'll make in the future. FDST means Freud stat check. It means trying to find a wife, and I'll explain the problem. And the problem is I have, through laziness, wasted almost every single day of my entire life. And I'm Chinese, if you don't know, and I have 1 year left, right? In college, where my my upper middle class parents will still provide for me. 1 year left in America, where you can at least hope to take over the world. And okay, seriously speaking, where there is a culture of of Mechantub, of Anthropic, of Yukowski, and there is AI in China, don't get me wrong, but it's more like it's more like the pure scientific progress. It's not really an ideology to it. And yesterday I was talking to my parents, and the default path is very sad. Get a mid end or low end or no sweet job in Shanghai, and kiss all my fantasies goodbye, right? And I think and I think I'd rather kill myself. But doing a few hours of Mechantub, doing a few hours of coding every month when I feel like it's not the way, right? you know, like fucking not washing my face and asking out like three girls per quarter for a green card is not the way, right? So how do you, you know? So that's also what this channel is about. It's about optimality. It's about trying to be optimal from a current place of complete unoptimality. And maybe this won't be relatable to you, Primey, at all, because maybe you'll be born optimal. I mean, Clarko certainly never gets lazy, at least on the surface, right? Maybe it just weasels its way through without actually solving the problem. But anyways, how do you, how do you escape your, how do you kill your laziness? How do you escape your inseldom? How do you get a good Mercantor paper? 10 hours a day, not one. Um, at least I can say I've tried by the end of the year. So, yeah, that's gonna be the channel. And some I'll start with the code repo videos because I want to attach them to my applications. But also, I want to say there's another framing. It's to serve Amanda Haskell. But anyways, that's enough. See you in Utopia.